Hello everyone and welcome. This is Kenza Tegawa, your Anglophone Cultures teacher, and today we will deal with the first chapter of the module entitled The First Permanent English Settlements in America. I hope you will enjoy today's lesson, listen carefully and enjoy the video. As conveyed in the title, today you will learn a lot about Jamestown Colony and Plymouth, the very first successful English colonies in America. Okay? Let's begin with Jamestown. In 1607, a group of wealthy people pooled their resources and made a new attempt to establish an English colony in North America. They were eager to gain a share of the wealth of the Americas, hoping to discover gold or silver. Some expected to trade with the Indians for furs, which could then be sold in Europe at a profit. Lumber also could be cut from the North America's vast forests. Farmers could plant vineyards to grow grapes or mulberry trees to produce silk. So England needed all of these products and resources. Therefore, they wanted to create a colony in order to gain money and wealth. Thus, the main reason for going there was purely economic. All right? As a result, the first colonists arrived in Virginia in the spring of 1607. About 100 men sailed into the Chesapeake Bay and built a fort they called Jamestown in North America, which was the first permanent settlement there. However, Jamestown barely survived its first year. It was located on a swampy peninsula where insects thrived in warm weather. During the first summer, many colonists caught diseases such as malaria and died. The colony also had another serious problem. Many of the colonists had no intention of doing the hard farm work needed to grow crops. Those men who came to the colony were not farmers, so they were not skilled to plant crops. They spent their time looking for gold, expecting to get the food they needed from the Native Americans. Therefore, they were somehow lazy. And they found no gold, and the local people, led by a chief named Powhatan, supplied some food, but it was not enough. By the spring of 1608, only 38 of the original colonists were still alive. In Jamestown, the conditions were extremely bad, in part because the colony was poorly led. Therefore, in 1608, Captain John Smith was sent out from London to lead the colony. He lost no time taking command. He drew up tough new rules. The most important one was, "He who works not, eats not." Under his firm leadership, the Jamestown colonists cut timber, put up new buildings, and planted crops. Meanwhile, hundreds of new colonists arrived. They included the first English women to settle in Jamestown. So this is where Jamestown prospers. During these years, Virginia developed a tradition of representative government, the form of government in which voters elect people to make laws for them. In 1619, Virginia's lawmaking body, the House of Burgesses, was elected and met for the first time. The House of Burgesses could pass laws and set taxes. However, it shared power with Virginia's appointed government, who could also veto its acts. The House of Burgesses marked the start of representative government in North America. Now, moving on to Plymouth, in England during the 1500s, people were or could be punished for their religious beliefs. You remember in semester 1 with the King Henry, when he called himself the head of the Church of England, everyone was expected to follow the way the state was practicing religion. However, we have a small group of separatists back then who fled to Holland, who fled religious persecution to practice Christianity as they saw fit. Once in Holland, they were not very comfortable either, and they wanted to go to the Americas in order to practice religion freely in their way without being persecuted. Therefore, this group of separatists decided to leave Holland and settle in Virginia. They are the people we know today as the Pilgrims. A much larger group of English Puritans left England in 1630s, establishing the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the New Haven Colony, the Connecticut Colony, and Rhode Island. These migrants were families with young children and their university-trained ministers, so this somehow contrasts with the traders of Jamestown. Their aim was to create a model of Reformed Protestantism, a city upon a hill, a new English Israel. The idea of city upon a hill made clear the religious orientation of the New England settlement. All right? Think of it as a huge difference. In September 1620, about 100 pilgrims sailed for Virginia aboard a ship called the Mayflower. After a long voyage, they arrived safely in North America. However, storms had blown them off course and they landed far to the north in what is today Massachusetts. They called their new home Plymouth after a port in England. Because they had landed outside Virginia, the Pilgrims believed they were not bound by the rules of the Virginia Company, but they needed rules of some sort. So here notice the independent mind and the thirst of freedom of those pilgrims. As a result, before going ashore, 41 adult men signed the Mayflower Compact, which you can see in the picture here. It called for a government that would make and follow just and equal laws. Office holders would be elected by the colony's adult males. Thus, a year after the creation of the Virginia House of Burgesses, the Pilgrims had taken a second step towards self-government in the Americas. The Mayflower Compact was the first document in which colonies claimed a right to govern themselves. Just like in Jamestown, the Pilgrims had a very difficult first winter in Plymouth. They had arrived too late to plant crops and did not have enough food. During the winter of 1620 and 1621, half the colonists died from hunger or diseases, just like what happened in Jamestown. All right. Now, who helped the Pilgrims? Of course, it was the natives. So the conditions improved in the spring of 1621, as had happened at Jamestown. Help from local Native Americans sustained the Pilgrims. A local chief gave them some food. Another one, named Squanto, brought the Pilgrims seeds of native plants, such as corn, beans, and pumpkins, and showed them how to plant them. He also taught the settlers how to catch eels from nearby rivers. As a result, in the fall of 1621, the Pilgrims set aside a day to give thanks for their good fortunes and to thank the Indians in what is today known as Thanksgiving holiday. Now, that's it for today's lesson. It's your turn now. On the basis of today's class and some further online research, could you think of some similarities and differences between Jamestown and Plymouth? All right, let me know in the comment. And I thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Take so much care and see you next time.